It is an unclassified number, and has been for several years, what the United States spends on intelligence every year. Right? It's an unclassified number. They don't really break out what they're spending it for. They break it out only in terms of two categories: general intelligence and military intelligence. And the totals for many years now have been around $70 billion. $70 billion. $70 billion. About $20 billion for military, which helps you fight, and about $50 billion just because, to surveil the world, right? Now, I have to say, I'm skeptical, right, that we need to spend $70 billion on intelligence. I'm skeptical about what some of this intelligence is buying and doing, right? I'm skeptical, right? Intelligence in general is what you need for defense or offense. You need it for restraint, you need it for hegemony, right? Intelligence you need to run a great power strategy. But I'd like to unpack what it is we're doing a little bit better and look at some of these activities and ask, is this really necessary? Because my impression is we pretty much spy on everything given the chance, right? Friends, enemies, whomever. During the peak of our 9/11 anger and hurt, we spied on ourselves, right? And we spied on ourselves without really sorting out the legal ramifications of it. We collected vast amounts of metadata, stored it. This is spying on Americans, right? Now, we're doing a little bit less of it now, but it's not very hard for an American who has friends abroad to get caught up in surveillance, right? There's just a lot of collection, right? And a lot of this information is stored so that if something happens, the IC, using fancy algorithms, can backtrack communications among individuals to figure out who was implicated and who knew who, right? If you have the big library and you have the guilty party, you can then reverse engineer to try and figure out who else was implicated. It doesn't prevent the terrorist attack, but it does allow you to prosecute the group. But all the rest of us end up compromising our privacy for this purpose, right? And this is another thing where we should have a conversation, right? And it's not a easy and straightforward conversation, because some people would privilege safety and say, fine, they can have that metadata on me, right? The traffic, the numbers I called. As long as they're not collecting the text of my phone calls, they can collect the origins of my phone calls and emails, keep them in a library, anonymized until they need to de-anonymize them. Some people would say, fine, if that's what we need to be able to backtrack a terrorist event and break up a network, they're fine with that. I'm a little uncomfortable with it, I have to say, right? But I don't think it's an open, shut, straightforward matter. I think these things about the magnitude of the American intelligence effort worldwide, what that effort is focusing on, how much information it ends up collecting at home, right? This is something that really needs to be discussed, because I think it has something to do with American liberties, right? And so, this is not particularly what I spend my days doing, but I do feel uneasy about it, and I do tend to believe that the more active we are in international politics, the more this machine grinds on, the more we collect abroad, the more we're going to collect at home, and the bigger the kind of amorphous mass of information waiting to be misused by someone is, right? And that's the thing that kind of concerns me.